Mississippi.
And now, it's Coast Vue with Ricky Matthews. Brought to you by J. Allen Toyota, Gulf Coast Business Supply, and AGJ Systems and Networks on SuperTalk 103.1 FM.
Welcome to Coast Vue, the show that celebrates the men and women who are making coastal Mississippi such an amazing place to live, work, and play. We have a great show today. We're going to have Senator Joel Carter in the first section of the show, and then a representative from the CB base who's going to talk about the Gold Star program. But before we move over to Senator Carter, I wanted to share with you, I shared this last week in my conversation with Fofo Gillich. It's something that my friend Sherry Carbivas posted, and I just think it's really good. It's great advice. I try to share these inspirational thoughts, things that touch me. I hope they touch you, but in this particular one, it's really good advice. And it said this: be so passionate about improving your own life that you don't have time to hate, judge, criticize, argue, or gossip about others. You know, social media, I talk about it a lot. It provides the opportunity to be really mean. And I think if people had to look people in the face when they're about to type those words, they might not type those words. I read something once in a book called How to Be a CEO. And one of the pieces of advice it said was, write that important memo and then put it in your top drawer and leave it there for 2 weeks. And if in 2 weeks you pull it out, it's still important, then send it. Boy, that would be good advice, wouldn't it, if we could use that in our social media world. Mindy Patton, one of my coworkers here at SuperTalk Mississippi Gulf Coast, posted this: don't let toxic people rent space in your head. Raise the rent and kick them out. I thought that's pretty good. And then here's a really good one from my friend Stacy Waldrop, who I quote all the time. This is a Chinese proverb. He who blames other has a long way to go in his journey. He who blames himself is halfway there. He who blames no one has arrived. Just think about that. That's pretty darn good advice. Now let's turn over to my friend Senator Joel Carter from Senate District 49 and just say good morning. How you doing, Joel?
I'm doing great, Ricky. How you doing?
I'm doing fantastic, doing great. I look forward to visiting with you for 2 segments today, and we're going to do a little bit of a review of things. We're going to look back at some of the conversations we had about the early days of COVID and our own COVID experiences. And in the second segment, we're going to get into a lot more detail about the broadband effort that you were very instrumental in helping to pull off here in our state. And I'm going to share a segment that I had from my conversation with Ashley Edwards and Joe Max Higgins, who leads the economic development efforts up at the Golden Triangle, and something that Joe Max said, and then Ashley followed up about how important that effort really is. So we'll get into some details about that here shortly. But let's just start with this. Describe to people what Senate District 49 is in terms of geography.
So it's pretty spread out. I've got a little bit of the county, Harrison County. The majority of it is Gulfport, and then I have West Biloxi. It stops at Pops Ferry, and it goes up to Sunkist. And you're just shy of being in 49.
Yeah, I know it. Like that one street too many over toward to the east. You came into the Senate in 2018. I think your term's over in January 2024. It's interesting watching you these days. So here it is, 2021. We just had the whole COVID year that just passed. We're going to get into the broadband thing in a minute. You can certainly say in terms of a headline what that meant to you, but you really feel like you're getting your stride, don't you?
Finally. So I came in a special election in 2017. So I came in midterm, and I was put into a leadership position with Lieutenant Governor Hoseman here last year. And so I am finally getting my stride. I feel like I'm not being held down by the freshman chains.
I know it takes a while, and it's complicated, man. I mean, first of all, the legislative process is complicated, and someone once said, if you like laws and sausage, don't watch them get made, and there's a lot of truth to that. I mean, but democracy is supposed to be slow. It's supposed to be slow because by being slow and cumbersome, the things that end up getting passed usually are truly the will of the people. That's not always the case, but usually it is. And I know it's frustrating at times that the will, you're kind of, you want things to move faster. You're an entrepreneur. You have a terrific background. We discussed this before in a previous show, but involved with your brothers and sister in a real estate company. You like things to happen fast. And that was part of the learning, wasn't it? Just the wheels of change sometimes turn slowly, and you just have to you have to be patient.
About the time that you think that a bill is making headway is when it just completely halts. I can't even tell you how many times I thought I had a bill done deal, and it dies about 5 different times before it gets down to the end of the process. But look, the process is all about relationships at the end of the day.
It is.
You got to develop relationships on both chambers. You can't just worry about what the Senate does. You have to develop relationships with the House members, and I mean, you got to work together. And I think that's true of any situation when you're trying to get something done.
During my career, I had a lot of opportunities to develop and to go to some of the best management training programs in the United States. And I had the opportunity to do things like work with an investigative reporter in St. Paul, Minnesota, for about a month. And, one of the things she said to me, I never really forgot it. And what had happened is a young man was killed in a drive-by shooting. And we spent the whole day that day, driving around in his neighborhood, talking to people who knew him and talking to family members. And I said, you spent a day, really trying to understand this kid's story. And he said, look, I didn't want his 15 minutes of fame to be that he was killed in a drive-by shooting. I wanted to find out his story. I wanted to understand his story. And what I've learned, as she said to me as a reporter, that for everyone who's involved in an incident like this, everyone has their perspective on that incident. So this whole notion of, there's 2 sides to every story. Well, no, actually, there's as many sides to the story as there are people involved in the story. So take that application to the legislature and the number of people that are involved, stakeholders, legislators, lobbyists, leaders. Man, is it complicated. And the moment you think you start to understand something, you just said that, you start to realize that there's more onion skin to pull back. And that's why you got to be patient, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%. You have to be patient. And like I said, at the end of the day, it all comes down to relationships. Everyone have to report to their constituents, and they have different concerns than I have in my district. Our state is very diverse and different. You're a big sportsman. You spend a lot of time in the Delta. You know that the Delta is a lot different than it is on the beautiful Mississippi Gulf Coast. So you have to wholeheartedly think about all Mississippians and do what's best at the end of the day for the state.
Hey, Joel, when I look at when I was doing homework for the show today and looked at what you're involved in, I'm super impressed. Actually, let me just read for real quick. Highways and Transportation Committee, Senate Investigates State Offices Committee, Labor Committee, Ports and Marine Resources Committee, Senate Corrections Committee, Senate Drug Policy Committee, the Finance Committee, and of real importance, not that the Port and Harbor wasn't, but of real importance to coastal Mississippi is the Senate Tourism Committee. And then you are the chairman of the Energy Committee. And dude, that is a massively important committee, isn't it?
It is a massively important committee, especially with the policy that is coming down from D.C. right now. Well, you see what's happening to oil and gas, and so we're trying to protect different industries throughout the state. But yes, it's a very, very important committee, especially to our state.
I'm really interested in it, as you and I've discussed before, but you being a member of the Tourism Committee, you're really aware and focused and paying close attention to efforts within the coastal Mississippi tourism effort. This conversation that Senator Jeremy England and I had about it, that there have been efforts to consolidate power on that committee, to consolidate power in Harrison County, and has really caused a lot of people in Harrison County and Jackson County and in Hancock County to be deeply concerned. What observation do you have about what you're observing?
So yesterday we had our post-legislative briefing with the chamber at the Golden Nugget, and I'll just share what I said there. We have an office in Foley, Alabama. And so I've looked at the way that they do tourism down there, and it's true destination marketing scheme, and not scheme, but it's just that they all have the same outlook and the same desire to bring people into that geographic area. And so when I think about the coastal Mississippi, we got tied up years and years ago when I was in the golf industry. I remember trying to get money for destination golf marketing. We kind of get tied up into this county gets this county gets that. When if we're going to be a true destination, then that's what we need to market as the destination. And when I say that, we need to have equal representation from all three counties.
I definitely agree with that. And any effort, as we've discussed, they made some bylaws changes that's all about trying to sort of consolidate power in Harrison County. There was a vote in Jackson County at their last meeting to rescind that. The Harrison County representatives voted against it. So that's gotten a lot of people, the Gaming Association members, that's gotten, other stakeholders. Anytime you tinker with something that engages so many stakeholders, they're going to get deeply concerned if you're doing anything to impact regionalism, which has worked really well during the pandemic. But hey, when we come back, we'll continue the conversation. We're going to get deep into the broadband situation because there is huge opportunity for Mississippi wrapped up in that effort. We'll see you after this break.
Hey, South Mississippi, it's Jay Allen at Jay Allen Toyota, and I got something new for you for 2021. It's the Jay Allen Certified Collection. What that means is we selected our very best inventory with under 75,000 miles, and they're 6 years old or newer. That comes with a multi-point inspection, a 10-year, 100,000-mile warranty, and a 3-day buyback guarantee. So come check out the Jay Allen Certified Pre-Owned Collection right here, I-10 exit 38 in Gulfport, or on allentoyota.com.
When COVID started, Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply began stocking hard-to-find PPE items. When Amazon and other mega internet companies were out of stock or inflating prices, Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply was providing local schools and businesses vital PPE supplies at fair prices. When your office needs PPE supplies, office furniture, or products to keep your business operating, consider Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply. We sell that too. Buy local.
SuperTalk Mississippi.
From outer space, visitors from another world. We've had contact with bug-eyed monsters.
This is actually a flying saucer.
Flying saucer?
I'm from another planet.
Where late nights are kind of weird.
Well, they must have a reason for their visit.
The unexplained, the weird, and the downright creepy. Coast to Coast AM with George Norrie. Late nights.
SuperTalk Mississippi.
If Alexa's part of your life, you've got one more way to access SuperTalk. SuperTalk Mississippi is now available on Amazon Alexa devices. Once enabled, just say, Alexa, play SuperTalk Mississippi at any time and start listening. It's that easy. Just one more way to stay informed and connected with your state. Learn more at supertalk.fm/Alexa. SuperTalk Mississippi. SuperTalk Mississippi. Now available on Amazon Alexa devices. Feeling down? Here's your prescription for a daily dose of good news and positive vibes. Good Things with Rebecca Turner. Every afternoon, Rebecca highlights all the good things happening right here in the state you call home. Daily exposure to Good Things with Rebecca Turner may cause smiling, feelings of positivity, happiness, and even laughter. When you experience these symptoms, tell your friends to listen. Okay. Weekdays starting at 2 p.m. here on SuperTalk Mississippi and now on Amazon Alexa devices.
106.3 Casino Radio is here. Tune to 106.3 to discover all of our must-see attractions and everything that's happening at our 12 incredible casino resorts. Where to eat, where to stay, what to do, and where to play. 106.3 Casino Radio has you covered with everything you need to know to help make your visit here to the coast one you'll never forget. Turn on 106.3 Casino Radio or listen now on our website, CasinoRadio1063.com.
This is Coast View with Ricky Matthews on SuperTalk Mississippi Gulf Coast 103.1.
Back to Coast View, we have Senator Joel Carter from District 49 joining us today. And we're going to shift gears now because he played a major role in this broadband effort in Mississippi where billions of dollars are going to be invested in connecting Mississippians across the state. Joel, what was the role that you played in that?
Well, when the CARES Act funding came down, we were able to provide $75 million to the electric power associations throughout the state to provide fiber access. The requirement was that they match those funds. So it was $150 million in investment. And then this year we gave Mississippi Power and Energy the ability to lease their dark fiber, which is fiber that runs along their transmission lines that is unused, so they can actually lease it to an internet service provider.
It's going to be transformative. So let me play a segment from my conversation with Ashley Edwards and Joe Mack Higgins. We were actually talking about think tanks and special interest groups, and it evolved into an important conversation about the transformative nature of connecting Mississippians. Let's listen to that. We're letting the polarized ends define the conversation. As I've said so many times, so many of us are somewhere in the middle. But when we're talking about the future of Mississippi, the vision of Mississippi, where Mississippi can take advantage of opportunities going forward, rarely are we having that conversation within the context of these polarizing discussions. There, as both of you sort of talked about, it's enabling us to take our eye off the ball and not have the right conversation, because some leaders in our state perceive they need to be able to talk about this in order to keep their voters engaged with them. And I think that's least common denominator. I don't think that that's the right approach to move our state forward. And we'll see if we can move that ship slowly but surely in that direction. But is a mystical Mississippi possible, Joe Max?
Yes. But you got to figure out what we need to do to get that done. And it needs to be the long view. I got asked the other day, so what do you think's the neatest, coolest thing that Mississippi's done since you've been in Mississippi? And that's almost 20 years. I said, well, that's easy. That's probably the easiest question I could answer. The broadband initiative. Getting the co-ops involved, getting state money, getting federal money, recognizing that we're going to a digital economy. Ashley, you may disagree, but I don't think there's anything since I've been in Mississippi that we've done that's going to have, I'm talking about generational benefits to our state. I just don't see it.
Let's do this, Joe Max. I think that's actually a really, really important point. And we'll come back to that when we come back, because until we get everybody connected in this state, we're never going to solve issues like the Delta, et cetera. We're going to come back and talk more about that with Joe Max Higgins from the Golden Triangle Economic Development Effort and Ashley Edwards from the Coast Business Council. Joe Max, who incidentally has a philosophy in life to live life like your ass is on fire. If you don't live like that in the economic development world, you will get eaten alive. That is for sure. But I mentioned that Elon Musk moved from South Africa to California because he needed to be in the Silicon Valley, because that was going to be, the place to be if you're starting a business. And he referred to it as this mystical place. Well, Mississippi needs to be a mystical place. Mississippi needs to be a place where technology people can go and find a great place to live, work, and play, et cetera. And one of the things that Joe Max was saying, and of course Ashley was agreeing, was that that broadband access is one of the fastest way for Mississippi to get from where we are now to where we need to go. Because by doing that, we unleash all kinds of stuff, don't we, Ashley?
That's absolutely correct. I mean, it's one of the biggest barriers that we've had to overcome here. I mean, you look at what happened in Chattanooga, Tennessee, 10 years ago when they put in high-speed broadband and the changes that occurred up there. I mean, there's too many case studies that shows you how to do it. And, sometimes we don't have to reinvent the wheel. We just have to use the wheels that we've been handed. And now this is a perfect situation that I agree with him. I think it was great legislation. I think it was very worthy of the legislature's attention. And we're going to see some real impacts from it. I think we're already starting to see some, and that's only going to continue.
Yeah, the rural co-ops are all over it. We've used, this is another, I would say, clarion call that came out of this pandemic moment. You know, the fact that the trend was we were not nearly where we needed to be from a connectivity point of view. And boy, people got aligned around that. Once we started to understand that in terms of remote work and remote learning and all the things that surround that, unless we have a connected Mississippi, we're gonna fall further and further behind. And that is more real today than has ever been. But now we've got this like multi-billion-dollar aggressive plan that's being adopted, and it won't take long, will it, Joe Max, before we can begin to see the benefits of that?
Oh no! I mean, it just made irrelevant places it's given them a chance to be relevant instantaneously. And you know, I'll tell you a fun story. My son, we may run with the electric cop. We may run broadband to our deer camp. And somebody said, "Well, why would you do that?" And I was talking to Commissioner Presley, and he said, "Well, number one, you can get rid of your DirecTV, and you can stream your shows." And my son-in-law, who's a financial analyst, said, "I can go hunt in the morning, go back to the cabin, work till about 2 o'clock, and then go back out." But I mean, it will just change everything for the good. I might add, for the good.
Well, we went to broadband at my place in the Delta, and it makes we're streaming, and we have connectivity. And you think about, you know, the Delta, and I'm gonna have several shows focused on the Delta, because until we solve the Mississippi Delta, you know, Mississippi doesn't move forward, and we have so much opportunity to do that. It's a long segment, but here you got Ashley Edwards, who just finished Harvard work. You've got Joe Max Higgin, who goes to Harvard once a year because they have case studies about him. These are two really smart guys who understand what transformation really looks like. It's got to warm your heart to hear that conversation.
That was a great conversation, and Senator Wicker needs some credit too. We had the American Rural Digital Opportunity Fund, and California was the only other state to receive more money than Mississippi. So we had millions and millions more investment that's coming down from the federal government straight for rural broadband. So it's not just the work that the state's doing, it's just the work that Senator Wicker's doing in the Senate. There is a full push forward effort to solve this rural broadband issue, because it's the future of economic development, it's the future of telemedicine, telehealth, and the way our kids learn.
And you know what's interesting? All those things are true, but when you start thinking about what Ashley said about what it did in places like, you know, Chattanooga, Tennessee, and you think about the way that Joe Max talks about it, you know, people, we tend to think of it as things that we can do, but we don't think of it always and adding up all those things we can do, and how when you look at them all in one, you know, conversation together, how transformative that is. And truthfully, we've had this conversation on the show, but most of our success in the future from an economic development point of view is not going for low-wage jobs. It's going to be going to higher-paid, technology-based types of jobs. That's where all manufacturing is headed. I mean, this transformation happening as we speak in manufacturing. By Mississippi being connected, it can be unbelievably transformative. And I look forward to sort of watching this unfold. And again, you know, as you were leading it, you knew that it was going to be important. But when you hear sort of all these people starting to jump on it now and say, "Good Lord, we could not have done a more transformative thing," it probably gives you a lot of pride that the governor and the lieutenant governor and the Speaker of the House and the legislative bodies all kind of came together and said, "We're going to do this." And, you know, that is a big success that came out of this session, isn't it?
It is. And like you said earlier in the show, the legislation getting passed is not an easy process. It's like watching sausage be made. So it does feel good after battling through both chambers and getting it ultimately passed and signed by the governor. It does feel good to see that people are recognizing the good work that the legislature has done.
So in Mississippi, the rural co-ops are major players. They are major players. And, you know, now that you look back on it, it just seemed like they were the perfect partner to have to sort of roll this out. Doesn't it seem they were perfect?
Yeah, so that in the early 1900s, they went to places where power companies wouldn't go, the most rural areas of the state, to provide power. So they have transmission lines where people need connectivity. So made sense. When Senator Doty was still in the Senate, she was energy chair. That was back in 2019. We passed the first co-op bill, and then we followed up with CARES Act funding last year. And then, as I mentioned earlier, this year the power companies got involved. But the electric power associations throughout the state, I believe there's 25 of them, 25 or 26 of them. They have played an instrumental role in trying to solve this digital divide.
Well, on this show, I have to be honest. I've been critical at times of the big three: the Speaker, Lieutenant Governor, and Governor, not being able to get together and have an agenda. They're Republican leaders. You would think they would get together more. Too much politics wrapped up in that. I was really critical that we couldn't get the Conservation Trust Fund passed. I've had numerous shows on it. I still feel as strong about it as I ever did today. We're missing unbelievable opportunities to match massive amounts of federal dollars by waiting another year to have that conversation. Unbelievable. I can't believe we missed that. But on this issue, man, kudos to all the leaders. Kudos to the legislature. Kudos to you and other leaders who are engaged in this, to the electric co-ops and everybody that was involved in this, because we are going to transform Mississippi as a result of connecting Mississippians. And man, I'm thrilled to be able to talk about it in that way, because we get some due on this one. That's for darn sure. Congratulations on your successes, and it's been great to catch up with you, Joel.
Always good to talk to you, man, and keep them out there, the boats on the water, and getting them fish.
You bet, man. Have a great day, and we'll see you after this.
All right, buddy. Take care. Bye-bye.
Coast Vue on SuperTalk 103.1 is brought to you by J. Allen Toyota on I-10 exit 38 Gulfport. See all the incredible inventory at allentoyota.com. And remember, when you think Toyota, think J. Allen Toyota.
When COVID started, Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply began stocking very hard-to-find PPE items to make our community a safer place. When Amazon and other mega internet companies were out of stock or inflating prices, Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply was providing local schools and businesses vital PPE supplies at fair prices. They were even sending thousands of dollars of PPE supplies free to local schools in need with help from other local business leaders. The next time your office needs PPE supplies, office furniture, or products to keep your business operating, consider a local company that supports your ball teams, cheerleaders, and area homeless. Consider Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply, the local guys that keep your prices fair, your service and selection excellent, and your health our business. Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply. We sell that too. Buy local.
SuperTalk.fm has a new look and is more informative than ever, with expanded Mississippi news coverage, the latest Mississippi weather, Mississippi sports, and of course, the talk that's important to you. Every show, every podcast, and every late-breaking story. Constantly updating the news the second new developments happen. All in one place. The new SuperTalk.fm.
106.3 Casino Radio is here. Tune to 106.3 to discover all of our must-see attractions and everything that's happening at our 12 incredible casino resorts. Where to eat, where to stay, what to do, and where to play. 106.3 Casino Radio has you covered with everything you need to know to help make your visit here to the coast one you'll never forget. Turn on 106.3 Casino Radio or listen now on our website, casinoradio1063.com.
Hey, South Mississippi, the future has arrived. It's 2021, and at J. Allen Toyota, we're here to serve you. Want to let you know that we have Allen's lifetime warranty on every new Toyota we sell. That also comes with Toyota Care. That's 2 years and 25,000 miles of complimentary maintenance. We have a great rental department. Our service department's ready to take care of your current vehicle. We're rolling out J. Allen certified pre-owned for 2021. You got to come to I-10 exit 38 right here in Gulfport. You're going to love what we have to offer. When you think Toyota, think Allen Toyota.
Feeling down? Here's your prescription for a daily dose of good news and positive vibes. Good Things with Rebecca Turner. Every afternoon, Rebecca highlights all the good things happening right here in the state you call home. Daily exposure to Good Things with Rebecca Turner may cause smiling, feelings of positivity, happiness, and even laughter. When you experience these symptoms, tell your friends to listen. Okay. Weekdays starting at 2 p.m. here on SuperTalk Mississippi and now on Amazon Alexa devices.
Hey, I'm Steve Azar, and you never know who or what you'll hear when I spend a Mississippi Minute with my friends. Talking to Paul Thorne, Mississippi true treasure, really incredible recording artist, singer, songwriter, has been doing it a long time, doing it the right way.
It's almost like a Forrest Gump thing because, I was a boxer, / I worked in a furniture factory, / I had a gig 2 nights a week playing my acoustic guitar in a pizza restaurant, / I was in the National Guard, and, wow. All this stuff was going on at the same time. / I had a writing contract with Rick Hall and Fame.
In a Mississippi Minute. Be sure to check out In a Mississippi Minute with me, Steve Azar, right here on SuperTalk Mississippi, the SuperTalk Mississippi app, and now available on iTunes, Google Play, and Stitcher.
Whether you're brand new to the DIY craze or a seasoned veteran, the Handyman Show has something for you. Buddy Slowick shares tips and tricks on everything from odd jobs to complete build-outs, from small home repairs to serious construction. So no matter if you're at the master carpenter level or not quite sure how to use a level, the Handyman Show answers your questions with a healthy dose of humor and some great music too. Saturdays, 10 to noon on SuperTalk Mississippi and on SuperTalk TV.
SuperTalk Mississippi.
Just seems to me people have so much invested in not telling the truth.
When you want the truth.
Simply because it might hurt some feelings.
And nothing but the truth.
Lose some subscribers.
You want the Gallo Radio Show.
I just think in this audience, you still believe that if you tell the truth, you come out ahead.
The Gallo Radio Show.
And if you tell yourself otherwise, you're lying to yourself.
Mornings on SuperTalk Mississippi.
And now, it's Coast Vue with Ricky Matthews. Brought to you by J. Allen Toyota, Gulf Coast Business Supply, and AGJ Systems and Networks on SuperTalk 103.1 FM.
Welcome back to Coast Vue. I really enjoyed that conversation with Senator Joel Carter. The work that he's doing is just incredible. And that segment that we had, that we played between Ashley Edwards and Joe Max Higgins from the Golden Triangle is really important as it relates to helping Mississippi overcome some deficits. And by connecting this state, there's probably no single more important thing we could do that will help literally put this state on steroids toward the future. And I really enjoyed having that conversation with him. Now we're going to switch gears. I talk about the military on Coast Vue all the time. When I talk about the coast as this economic engine that drives the state, I always give lots of reasons why that is. But in a nutshell, I talk about you have an Ingalls and Chevron on one side in Jackson County, and then, of course, Stennis Space Center on the other side, and then all of the tourism that goes on in between, and the incredible amount of other things that are happening here, not the least of which is the military contribution. So, when we talk about the Naval Construction Battalion Center in Gulfport, it's not just the Seabees that are located there. Navy and Seabees have sort of a footprint across coastal Mississippi. And then, of course, Keesler. We had a recent conversation with a representative from Keesler. We'll continue to have conversations with them. We've talked to the hurricane hunters. We're planning another conversation with the hurricane hunters to talk about what they're doing to get ready for this season. I plan to fly with the hurricane hunters this year. I want to wait till we got about a Category 5 somewhere and go fly into it. I'd love to be able to do that. You might think I'm crazy, but it would be an amazing experience. But anyway, the military contribution in coastal Mississippi is incredible. And we've learned this from our conversations with Stacy Pickering, who's head of VA affairs here in Mississippi, and others, that people who come here, who get stationed here, often retire here. They may be from all over the country, but they come here and they fall in love with coastal Mississippi and they retire here. And we hear that conversation over and over and over again. If they don't retire here, they come back here for vacation because they love coastal Mississippi. They're some of the best ambassadors we could have, incidentally, when they leave here and go other places. If you think about the CV base in particular, Essentially what normally happens is the unit from here would go to somewhere like Rota, Spain. That's kind of a staging area. And then from there, they might go to the Middle East, Eastern Europe, Africa, Guam. They could go anywhere. There's so many different places they could go. In fact, I found this morning that there is a CB unit in Croatia, one of my favorite countries to visit, building a medical facility. So they do work that is not only part of the mission, the military mission, and in fact, they're in places today that they can't tell you where they are because they're, sensitive places. And they're also doing humanitarian work. The CB contribution around the world is unbelievable. And the majority of them come right out of coastal Mississippi. It's an amazing story. With all that in mind, I want to share something with you. I think it's very poignant, and it really does speak well to the conversation we're about to have. And here's what it is. I don't know who said this. Someone shared this, and I just think it applies really well to the conversation we're about to have. Life is so ironic. It takes sadness to know what happiness is, noise to appreciate silence, and absence to value presence. Today, we're going to have a conversation with my new friend, Emily Kolenda. She's the Navy Gold Star coordinator here on the Gulf Coast. She actually does work in multiple states. And I would say that when you hear that poignant comment that phrase that I just shared, Emily's going to be in a great position to share her observations about that. But before we get into that, let me just say good morning, Emily. How are you?
Good morning. I'm doing well, thank you. How are you?
I'm doing fine. So life is so ironic. It takes sadness to know what happiness is, noise to appreciate silence, and absence to value presence. You see that part of your work is to deal with to help surviving families. You know that phrase as well as anyone, don't you?
Absolutely.
And so tell me what it means to you.
Well, so many times we don't always value the time that we have or the conversations that we have with people until they're not there anymore, and how much happiness that people bring into our life, and then that sadness component to it when they're not there. So bringing all of this to wrap up in the quote that you had is kind of the way our life is, not just on the military side when we lose family members or comrades, but even for general public. We've seen that a lot in the last year as we've been fighting COVID, and people all over the world have been losing their loved ones.
You said that so well, and you're right. You're right. I mean, I think COVID and the pandemic has given us all an opportunity to reflect on what in life is important. Hopefully we can keep that close and not in the busy of life forget the essence of what that's all about, because I think all of us have been reminded about how cherished life is, how important our families are, how important our friends are, our business associates. And you know what, to be honest with you, I'll add the military, because as I pointed out, you have people from your base right there, the Naval Construction Battalion Center, the CB base in Gulfport, that are deployed all over the world. Your husband's deployed. Your husband's a CB. Tell me about what you first of all, tell me about your family. Tell me what your husband's up to these days.
Sure. So I've been a military spouse for 18 years. My husband has been all over the world and doing various missions with the CBs, and we've been very blessed with the military career that he has taken. He's currently serving in Diego Garcia, which is a small island in the middle of the Indian Ocean. And our children have been blessed with lots of adventures in different places in the world as well. So the military has treated us amazingly. We're very grateful for the life that we live and the adventures and the experiences that we've gotten to do along the way.
Emily, I hearing you, I want to say that I personally appreciate your service and your husband's service. I know it's hard to be separated as a mother and father with two teenage kids. That's for sure. You're from Virginia. Tell me a little bit about the track you took to get into your current position as a Gold Star coordinator.
Sure. So I started actually as an intern for the Navy when I was in college, and that is how I met my husband. We met in South Korea. He was deployed, and that's where the Navy had sent me to work for them for a summer. And after my time in school, we got married and have traveled and done various things over his military career. But I was a recreation therapist beforehand. And then we moved to Guantanamo Bay, Cuba, and I got involved in working with the Fleet and Family Support Center, which is where the Navy Gold Star coordinators essentially work out of as well. And in that time in Cuba, I was able to take on various roles in supporting our military families and our service members. And then when we transitioned back here to the States in Gulfport, the position of Navy Gold Star coordinator was open. And so I was able to take on this role as this new position was created here about 4 years ago, in light of having so many families to take care of and wanting to expand the program to make sure that all of these survivors were able to get the support and resources that the Navy vows to provide.
So we're really lucky to have you in that position. So tell me about the scope of geography that you're responsible for.
Sure. So the Navy Gold Star program, there's actually very few of us. We're only a program of 22 people total to provide worldwide support to families of the fallen. And with that, I provide coverage to 5 states in our Southeast region: Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, and South Carolina. And I also provide support to all families residing in Europe.
Wow, that's a lot of responsibility.
It is. It's a lot going on, but I wouldn't want it any other way. These families I kind of consider to be my families. I kind of adopt them because I fall in love with working with them and their appreciation for the support that is out there to them. So for me, it's just a continuation of my family.
Well, I would think that your job entails listening, showing compassion, and then there's a material part of what you bring, which is to sort of match the family up with services that are available to them. And I think that's probably incredibly important. All of those things that I just mentioned are incredibly important to those families. But I think it's probably very important to them that they have you to lean on, so that these services that can help them sort of cope and understand and move forward with their lives, all those things are important. And for that reason, the Gold Star program is really, really important, isn't it?
It is, absolutely. We, as a Gold Star coordinator, tend to get involved around the 1 month mark from the time of a service member death. And to be able to provide resources and support to help with whatever that individual journey looks like is what is really important. So for me to be able to individualize what resources and answer questions and keep them connected with the Navy to be able to obtain records or information is really valuable to them and also helpful to me.
We're having a conversation with Emily Kolenda. She's the Navy Gold Star coordinator here on the Gulf Coast, but as she pointed out, has responsibilities for 5 states and Europe as a Gold Star coordinator. When we come back, we'll continue the conversation with Emily, and we'll see you after this break.
You can also listen live to SuperTalk Mississippi Gulf Coast 103.1 on your Amazon Alexa devices. Once you've enabled the skill, just say, "Alexa, open SuperTalk Mississippi Gulf Coast."
SuperTalk.fm has a new look and is more informative than ever, with expanded Mississippi news coverage, the latest Mississippi weather, Mississippi sports, and of course, the talk that's important to you. Every show, every podcast, and every late-breaking story. Constantly updating the news the second new developments happen. All in one place. The new SuperTalk.fm.
Hey, South Mississippi, it's Jay Allen at Jay Allen Toyota, and I got something new for you for 2021. It's the Jay Allen Certified Collection. What that means is we selected our very best inventory with under 75,000 miles, and they're 6 years old or newer. That comes with a multi-point inspection, a 10-year, 100,000-mile warranty, and a 3-day buyback guarantee. So come check out the Jay Allen Certified Pre-Owned Collection right here, I-10 exit 38 in Gulfport, or on allentoyota.com.
When COVID started, Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply began stocking hard-to-find PPE items. When Amazon and other mega internet companies were out of stock or inflating prices, Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply was providing local schools and businesses vital PPE supplies at fair prices. When your office needs PPE supplies, office furniture, or products to keep your business operating, consider Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply. We sell that too. Buy local.
SuperTalk Mississippi.
Just seems to me people have so much invested in not telling the truth.
When you want the truth.
Simply because it might hurt some feelings.
And nothing but the truth.
Lose some subscribers.
You want the Gallo Radio Show.
I just think in this audience, you still believe that if you tell the truth, you come out ahead.
The Gallo Radio Show.
And if you tell yourself otherwise, you're lying to yourself.
Mornings on SuperTalk Mississippi. SuperTalk Mississippi, your new home for the Ben Shapiro Show.
We don't hold back. We never shy away from telling you the truth.
The most electrifying national talk show on air today.
We have the most important guests and the biggest thinkers in America.
Ben Shapiro, brutally breaking down the issues of the day.
From politics to pop culture, we take a look at all of it. So don't miss out.
Weeknights at 9.
For something new and unique in talk radio, take a listen to The Ben Shapiro Show.
On SuperTalk Mississippi.
Hey, I'm Steve Azar, and you never know who or what you'll hear when I spend a Mississippi Minute with my friends. We're talking to Del Berra. Take me back to growing up and what it was like in the household with a dad like Yogi Berra.
You know, we grew up with his funny sayings. You know, I remember Dad managing the Mets, and me, Larry, and Timmy are watching the game on TV. And all of a sudden, two streakers run out of the stands on TV, and the camera flips away from them. So when he gets home, me, Larry, and Timmy say, "Hey, Dad, those streakers, what were they, boys or girls? We need to know." And Dad looked us right in the eye and said, "I couldn't tell. They had bags over their heads."
In a Mississippi Minute. Be sure to check out In a Mississippi Minute with me, Steve Azar, right here on SuperTalk Mississippi, the SuperTalk Mississippi app, and now available on iTunes, Google Play, and Stitcher.
This is Coast View with Ricky Matthews on SuperTalk Mississippi Gulf Coast 103.1.
Welcome back to Coast View. We have Emily Kolenda, a Navy Gold Star coordinator on the Gulf Coast, but she has 5 states she's responsible for, including Europe. Her husband is currently stationed overseas, and I think it's cool that you met him in Guam, and the rest is kind of history, huh?
Yes, absolutely.
two teenage kids and living the life, and I love your positive view toward the military and what it's provided you. It's been very important in your life, hasn't it?
It has, absolutely. It's so many friendships that are more like family, but the Navy has treated us amazingly well, and we are very grateful for all the opportunities it's provided us.
You know, we can only imagine what a family is going through when they lose a loved one, you know, especially as it relates to military service. And for that family to have access to the Gold Star program is really important. And I want to go in just a second and talk a little bit more about why Gold Star Awareness Month is so important and sort of what's involved in that. But before we do that, I want you to talk just a little bit more about the connection that you have with families and how it's sort of a personal passion for you to connect and to help them, and why that helps you as much as it helps them. Talk more about that.
So we have, of course, been a Navy family for many, many years. And unfortunately with that, we have lost friends that have died for various causes over our tenure in military life. And so this is my way of giving back. I feel like so many people have said, oh, there's something so much greater than I. And this is one of those areas that it is. It's very big. And it's my way of giving back to those families that I feel like deserve so much more for what they have sacrificed. And they're our family. They're military family, but they just get a little closer to my heart as I get to know them and their family members in providing support over the years.
That's really beautiful. You know, someone sent me a note yesterday, and they asked me a series of questions about positive attitude and my motivation. And the last question he asked was, if you had like one piece of advice to give a really close friend, what would it be? And I thought about it a little bit, and I thought, wow, that's an interesting question. If I had one piece of advice, my advice would be find your purpose in life. Find your purpose in life and then pursue it with dogged determination. It's interesting where you find yourself in your life in this moment. You sort of found your purpose, didn't you?
I would like to think so. You know, my purpose has always been to give back and to help other people. And this has just become another one of those little niches that really touches my heart. And, you know, I do feel like it's at least my current purpose.
Right.
Whether there's more out there, you know, my journey, I hope to continue for many more years of life. But for right now, it's definitely a purpose. It
is. And, you know, you get up tomorrow morning and there are new challenges and new learnings, and you're a different person tomorrow than you are today. And that's what life is about. And purposes change and they become more intense, and they get shaped by new experience. And, you know, as long as you're open to that, there's no telling where it will bring you. There's really no telling where this experience will bring you, because you already have sort of a counselor's heart. So it'd be interesting to see where you are in 10 years. It will be very interesting. So let's shift gears a little bit. Tell me why it's important to have the Navy Gold Star Awareness Month.
So as a program, and of course Memorial Day, you know, I talk to a lot of people, and Memorial Day, I think gets kind of overlooked as the start of summer, and you know, the swimming pools open and the backyard barbecues start. You know, the weather is finally nice to do things, but Memorial Day is about honoring the fallen, and that wasn't something, because I didn't grow up as a military kid, that I really understood or think that people talked about. That it was really just that, you know, official kickoff to summer. And so with Memorial Day, we, as the Navy Gold Star program, expanded on that holiday in also providing awareness across our communities. The Navy Gold Star program, unfortunately, doesn't have records that are electronic that date back years and years or decades. And so there's a lot of families that are out there that could be receiving support or resources and be connected, especially our Vietnam era or Gulf, you know, our Desert Storm eras. So different conflicts, different wars that our country has been part of, we're missing some of those populations that, you know, really deserve that opportunity to be recognized, and for our communities to really understand what the program and what that sacrifice looks like. So it's our month to really kind of shine and put things out there so that our communities are aware of all that is available and what the holidays are really about.
You're a terrific spokesman, and I do think it's very touching the way you describe what Memorial Day is really all about. And you know, we know what it's become. The good news is that when people fly that flag on Memorial Day and they look at it, I think a lot of people look at it and they think of the sacrifices that have been made. But you know, your words today, I think, will be a poignant reminder to people to, you know, take a pause, say a prayer, find out the role you can play to help make the lives of military community better, and to keep the thoughts in your thoughts and prayers those families who have lost loved ones in their military service. And you know, that's really important. But anyway, Emily, it has been a pleasure to visit with you today. I really have enjoyed it, and you're a terrific spokesman for this effort, and I wish you all the well in the world and hope your husband makes it back nice and safe.
Thank you. Well, I appreciate your time and letting me chat about Navy Gold Star, and welcome anybody to visit our website should they have more questions.
Thank you. This has been Emily Kolenda. She's the Navy Gold Star coordinator at the Naval Construction Battalion Center in Gulfport. It's been a pleasure, Emily. Just have a great day. We'll see you tomorrow.
Follow SuperTalk Mississippi Gulf Coast 103.1 on Facebook. Facebook.com/SuperTalk MS Coast 103.1.